We believe that life is better connected, and our aim is to help our young people find genuine friends and a supportive community. We also think that the best way to navigate this COVID season is by engaging together in smaller groups. We would love to help get them connected in this way by joining one of our Hangout groups. For any questions or further information, just email youth@forgechurch.com or check out the Forge website. And welcome to Motion Live, and we are so glad you're here. My name's Tim. I'm going to be with you for the next 35 minutes or so, just walking you through our program together. We would love to know that you are watching, so let us know in the chat that you are watching. I've got a question to ask you later on as well. Well, we've got some amazing things, got some great things planned for you for this evening. Before you guys head out into your Hangout groups, if you don't know what Hangout groups are, if this is your first time, you are so welcome. But Hangout groups is just another opportunity for us to kind of look and learn a little bit more about what we're talking about tonight. I'll give you a little bit more information about how you can link into one of those Hangout groups at the end of our time here this evening. So, my question, but I've got a statement for you, or I've got something that you may not know. Today is National Peanut Butter Day. I'm sure you all knew that, of course, but maybe those who didn't don't actually care. Now, I definitely don't care because I hate peanut butter so much because I'm allergic to peanut butter. I'm allergic to nuts or peanuts or anything like that. So, but I'd love to know in the chat. Tell me in the chat, do you like peanut butter? Do you hate peanut butter? If you hate peanut butter, perhaps put one of those sick emojis with the green sick vomit coming out of it. But in the chat, tell us what you like peanut butter on. Do you do it on toast? Do you in cakes or cookies? Or American people, we seem to have got it as well now, this peanut butter and jelly or peanut butter and jam. What is that about? That sounds disgusting, but let us know in the chat. How do you have your peanut butter? Do you like peanut butter or not? So yeah, and I'll do some shout outs later on, and we'll do some we'll see what you guys like or don't like. Okay, so last week we launched our new feature, our Motion Rock Paper Scissors World Cup. Now today we have got the first round draw live. I'm super excited to do that, but before we do that, let's take a look at this video. Okay, cool. So we're going to do our first round draw live. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but I love the FA Cup, although my team, Liverpool, have literally just been knocked out of the FA Cup. But one of the highlights is the draw. You know, everybody loves it when they put the balls in the draw in the bowl, and then you pick one out, and then you find out who you're playing. It's exciting. So I thought I'd recreate one for our Motion Rock Paper Scissors World Cup. Now, obviously, there's 32 people involved. I'm sorry if you weren't around for your Hangout group last week, but that means your name's not in the hat. Now, 32 balls are in there, and each one of them is assigned to one of you guys. And on the screen right in a minute and right now, you've got your number that you're assigned to. So you can look out for your number when it comes out of the bowl. So yeah, and then I'll do each game that will be drawn out, and then you'll know who you're playing in round 1. So, without further ado, let's get away. Let's get started. So, hopefully, this is going to work properly. So, let's go. Let's give these a bit of a move around. Okay, the first one is number 11. Number 11. There we go. You can see it there. That is Amila. Amila is at home. Not that it actually matters. Is going against... Oh, I didn't mean that to happen. Number 12. Against Mia. Mia's your friend as well. I'm chucking these over the room, and I've realised I've got to go and collect these later on. Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, we have got number 30. Who's number 30? That is... I've messed up the numbers, but that would be Tim Sparks. So apologies, it doesn't say that on the screen. That's my fault. Tim Sparks, number 30. And then we've got that against... Oh, I'm going to do that again. Against... Why? No, I'm going to start again. Here we go. Here we go. We've got it against number 2 is Xanthi. Okay, next one is number 15. And that is Jacob. Jacob Fairweather is going against number 24. And that is Nathan. Not Nathan Banks, but Nathan, whose brother's got called brother's Jamie, and I always call him Jamie. Okay, number 14 is next. And that is Summer against number 31. And that doesn't say it on there, but it's Russell. Excellent. Okay, we've got number 26. Okay, which is Joseph against number 9. And that is Megan Warnock. Yes, come on, Warnocks. You can do it. Okay, we've got number 16. Okay, who's number 16? That's Noah Sparks. He's going against number 5, and that is Jemima. Go on, Jemima. Okay, who have we got here? I haven't got a number on that one, so I don't know what I've done there. Okay, we've got number 13. That is Izzy. Against number 23, and that is Nathan Banks. Okay, I'm hoping all the numbers are in here. Otherwise, I've messed up. Okay, number 1, we've got Leah. He's going against number 32, Sam Fenning. I should have said it in a lottery way, shouldn't I? Number 28 is Caleb. He's going against... Well, that'd be good if we get it against Cora, wouldn't it? But it's not. I've got 29 in there. No, I haven't got 20. It's Jake. Jake, there we are. 29. Excellent. I thought I had 29 in there twice, but I didn't. Okay, we've got 19 is Teddy. Come on, Teddy. Is going against number 25 is Cora. Come on, Cora. Okay, 22 is the next one. And that is Will Jack. Who's he going up against? He is going up against number 17, which is Samuel Fairweather. Okay, who we got here? We've got number 6 is Eliza. Oh, Sam's already gone, so it can't be Sam. Who is it? Number 10 is Betty. Okay, next one is number 27, and that is Isaac. He's going against number 21, I think that's what it is, which is Josh. Oh, that's cool. That's like against your cousin. That's cool. Number 20 is Cam. Who's Cam going up against? He's going up against Phoebe. Number 3. Okay, number 8 is Elise. Who's Elise playing against? She's going against number 18, which is Levi. Excellent. Okay, this is the final one. Hopefully you've all been mentioned up until now. Megan. We've got Megan against number 4, which is Martha. That's nice because they're friends, which is good. So hopefully everybody's been mentioned. If not, then I've messed up the numbers in some way. But so the World Cup's going to start not next week, but the week after. So keep an eye out for that in 2 weeks' time. Excellent. So let's have a look to see what people say. Maybe some people are commenting already about who they're competing against. Maybe some people are telling me about how they like their peanut butter. And let me just do some shout outs. The Austin family are here. Love the Austins. They always are here first. Cam's here. Xanthi. Hello, Xanthi. Levi, Leah, Betty, Zoe, Sam, Teddy. There's loads of you commenting today. Jamie, Nathan and Gemma are watching. Perkins family. Obviously, Jamie's my favourite, but don't tell anybody about that. Okay, Izzy's watching. Russell, hello, Russell. Okay, cool. Right. Zoe has just said that she's just eaten some peanut butter. It's like she didn't even know. Well, I mean, that's cool. And that's weird. She's put it on an apple. And on an apple, that is weird. Sparkles loves peanut butter. Izzy doesn't like peanut butter. No. Summer loves peanut butter. Xanthi loves peanut butter. Betty loves it on toast. Okay, yeah, I get that. Paul Austin, sick emoji. It's disgusting. Of course it is. It's the smell, does it, for me. Sam loves it. Megan loves peanut butter. Noah, peanut butter and jam is actually pretty good in a sandwich. I don't get it. I'm sorry, Noah, but I just don't get it. It's an American thing that we seem to have stolen, like a lot of things. But anyway, now, Xanthi, peanut butter with banana is my favourite. Now, that just seems weird, but I have to admit, I do give that to my baby girl for her breakfast sometimes, in a porridge. She likes it in porridge. Amaya loves peanut butter. Zoe's saying that she's a big fan of peanut butter and jam. Weirdo. Peanut butter on toast from Sam with either strawberry jam or bear with cucumber. That's weird. Cucumber. That is very weird. PBJ pancakes is the best, apparently, according to Russell. Reese's Buttercups. Now, my wife, she loves those Reese's Buttercups. Marmite peanut butter. Yeah, Marmite, I get what you mean. Marmite is like peanut butter. It's disgusting. Yes. Sandwich with cucumber is okay, according to Tim. I disagree. Excellent. Okay, apparently Summer and Tim have the same number. They do, but that's my fault. Excellent. Cool. Looking forward to the draw. We're looking forward to the competition starting in a couple of weeks' time. That is going to be exciting. We're now going to go into our final talk of our series. This series is called Vibes. It's talking about those vibes or emotions that we kind of feel. And those vibes and emotions are not bad things on their own, but actually when they take control of us, when they kind of take control of our lives, that's when they can become kind of negative and have an unhealthy kind of impact on our lives and on our relationships. And that's what this series has all been about. So this is our last talk in this series. So let's check this out. We've been talking about our vibes and emotions and how if we aren't careful, they can take control of us. And as we continue this conversation today, I want to ask you a question. What would you do if you knew that you would never get caught and there would be no consequences? Let me say that again. What would you do if you knew that you would never get caught and there would be no consequences? Now, I imagine that some of you had some stuff come to mind that surprised even you. The truth is, we all have the potential to think about some wild thoughts. We're just smart enough not to talk about it out loud. We're all experts at monitoring our behaviour, so only the good stuff is seen for the most part. And while we've learned to monitor our behaviour, the problem is that we've never really learned how to monitor our emotions or our hearts where the emotions come from. And like we talked about last week, it's important that we learn how to monitor our emotions, because our emotions have a big impact on the way that we treat ourselves and other people. Think of it this way. Tipping this jug over doesn't determine what comes out. What is already in here determines what comes out. If a load of coloured balls are inside, that's what's going to come out. The same is true with our emotions. They are inside of us. The question is, how do they come out?
which is why I think what King Solomon said is so important. And in a book in the Old Testament, he said this: "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." What Solomon was saying is what is going on inside of you is important. Why? Because what comes out of you comes from your heart. We can all try to watch our actions and monitor our behaviour, but that's not the real problem. The real problem is taking care of what's inside, because good or bad, whatever is inside is coming out. And let's be honest with ourselves. We can all admit that we have some problems on the inside. Most of us can quickly think of things that we've done, said, or thought that no one else is allowed to know about, because we all have stuff inside of us that's not great. And when that stuff comes out, we do or say something that's not great, the result is usually a different emotion that we can end up controlling us. I'm talking about guilt. Guilt is a loaded word because there are different kinds of guilt. One is false guilt. That guilt you feel when you aren't guilty. You feel bad about something that you didn't do, or feel bad about something that wasn't a big deal. Then there's actual guilt. And this is what we're going to talk about today. This is the kind of guilt you feel when you did something you shouldn't have done, or maybe you said something that you shouldn't have said. It's when you hurt someone that deserved better. Feeling this legitimate guilt isn't a bad thing on itself, but it becomes a problem when something you've done in the past becomes part of your identity. Let's be clear, nobody likes to feel guilty. So instead of doing something about it when we feel it, we stuff it away. And we have messages that we say to ourselves about the thing that we feel guilty about. We think things like this: I wasn't the only one. I was going through a bad phase. Or maybe it's not my fault. And we tell ourselves these stories to make our guilt less powerful so we don't feel quite as bad. But here's the thing. When we make excuses for our guilt or pretend like it's not a big deal, the guilt doesn't go away. We actually end up giving our guilt more power. Think about it. Guilt creates a debt and debtor relationship with others. It creates an IOU out of a relationship. Why? Because we have taken something from them. When we hurt someone else, we take things like their reputation, their trust, or maybe their self-esteem. And so we owe them. We even say things like, I owe them an apology. But the thing is, we don't see guilt as a debt to pay back. We experience guilt like a weight, and when we carry around a weight, it throws us off balance. But that's not all. The other tricky thing about guilt is it doesn't stay with the person we feel guilty towards. You may feel guilty about how you talk to your stepmum, but then you'll bring it with you when you're hanging out with some friends. And all of a sudden, what happened with your stepmum now has you in a bad mood with your friends. See, when we don't deal with guilt, it grows and evolves into anger. Anger at ourselves for behaving a certain way. Anger at not being able to move past it. And the thing about anger is, it doesn't stay inside of us. It eventually comes out. The truth is, we are all guilty of something. So, we're all also in danger of letting our guilt become anger, and our anger turning into us being defensive. Here's the good news. You don't have to be defined by your past, and you don't have to deny it either. Jesus offers a different way, a way to no longer be controlled by our guilt, shame, or anger. And that's what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes. I want us to look at something that the Apostle Paul said. And it's important that we know who said this, because Paul had more regret and guilt than all of us. He wasn't just a preacher trying to make a point. He lived it. He was ashamed of his past and felt guilty. Because of the early part of his life, before he was known as the Apostle Paul, he was known as Saul. And Saul spent his time hunting down followers of Jesus so that he could arrest them and have them tortured, imprisoned, or even killed. He did more than just let this happen. He made it happen. But then Paul's life changed and he became a follower of Jesus. Instead of killing Jesus' followers, he made it his life mission to encourage more people to follow Jesus. But his past was still his past, and it's likely that he had to face families of people he went after before he followed Jesus. There's no question that he dealt with regret or guilt, knowing that he had done and remembering the faces of people that he had arrested or even killed. But what makes his story so amazing is that he doesn't distance himself from his past. He doesn't run away from it, hide it, or deny it. He doesn't make excuses like, well, that was before I met Jesus, so it doesn't really count. Instead, he told his story and owned it. And he wrote about it in a letter to Christians living in Rome. And he said this, "Therefore, there is now no condemnation for those who are Christ Jesus, because through Christ Jesus, the law of the Spirit who gives life has set you free from the law of sin and death." In other words, he tells people that because of Jesus, something new happened. You don't have to pretend that you didn't do anything wrong. There is freedom in owning up to God for what you said or did. When you call it what it is, the weight comes off. You can stop running and making excuses. You can let all of that go and find freedom. How? Well, Paul tells us, "For what the law was powerless to do because it was weakened by the flesh." Meaning all the law could do was show us how we got it wrong. It points us in the ways that we messed up. But it can't fix anything for us. It can't take the weight away, and it definitely doesn't give us freedom. So Paul goes on, "For what the law was powerless to do because it was weakened by flesh, God did by sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh to be a sin offering." Meaning, Jesus had no guilt. He did nothing wrong. He came and lived the perfect life, and he died a criminal's death so that we can be free. We have every reason to feel guilty. Jesus has none. And yet Jesus is the one who died. And because of that, we no longer have to feel guilty. Because of Jesus, guilt doesn't have to be the boss of you. We can live a guilt-free life. Jesus took it all. And it's like he was saying, bring all of your guilt, all of the stuff you've done, own it. What you did was wrong. It wasn't okay. We both agree that you messed up and you are guilty. But that is not the end of your story. I don't see you that way anymore. And I don't want you to see yourself that way either. I want you to see the way that I do. And Paul wraps up the thought by saying, "And so he, God, condemned sin in the flesh in order that the righteous requirement of the law might be fully met in us, who do not live according to the flesh but according to the Spirit." Paul is saying God has made the relationship between you and him guilt-free. You are guilty because of what you did or what you said, but you are not condemned, and that guilt doesn't have to define you anymore. What Jesus did on the cross defines you. Jesus took the guilt on himself, and now you are free. Here's the thing. The way Paul writes it is a bit confusing, and if you're sitting there thinking, what does this even mean? I totally get it. But I don't want us to miss this because it sounds confusing. You see, when you decide to take God at his word, when you trust that Jesus is who he says he is and did what he said he was going to do, a few things happen. Number one, you are no longer allowed to condemn yourself or punish yourself. Guilt is not the boss of you. You belong to God, and God says that you are not condemned. Number two, your guilt will remind you, but it will not define you. Meaning, what you did doesn't disappear. You may have some lessons to learn, but that thing you did, the thing you said, it isn't who you are. Number three, you don't get to condemn others for their mistakes. You know, when you realize what Jesus has done for your guilt, you have to understand that he has done the same for others too. You don't get to judge, hate on, or criticize others for their mistakes. And finally, you are free to make things right with the person that you hurt, without excuses or expectation of getting something back in return. This is big. Sometimes we think that when we do something wrong, the most important thing for us to do is just pray and ask God for forgiveness, and everything will be fine. But it's not always fine. Jesus cares about making it right, not with him, but with the person that you hurt. So go ahead and pray for forgiveness, but then go and make it right with the other person. I get that it's scary, but remember, as long as we hold on to the guilt, we are letting our past define us. And Jesus came to change that. Our past can remind us, but it will not define us. Maybe today is the day that changes. Maybe today is the day that you really understand that because of what Jesus did for you, you are no longer condemned. Guilt is not in control. That vibe is not going to call the shots. There is no room for the vibes of guilt, shame, embarrassment, and pride. Because of Jesus, all of that is gone. As we head out to our hangout groups, let's remember that and pass the same on to others. Despite their mistakes, because of Jesus, guilt doesn't have to be the boss of you. And it doesn't have to be the boss of people around you either.
In a moment, I'm going to pray, but before I do that, I just want to ask a question. You know, where is it that you stand with this guilt, this shame that you feel when you mess up? Because we all mess up. We all screw up. We all do things wrong. We all say things or do things that are wrong. Where do you stand with that? Do you live with that guilt? Do you live with that shame of when you do things? Or do you feel that freedom that God gives us? You know, the fact that Jesus died on the cross, so we don't have to feel guilt. We don't have to feel shame. You know, is that something that resonates with you? And if it does, that's amazing. But maybe tonight you've realized for the first time that actually, because of what Jesus has done for you, you don't have to live with that guilt, that shame, that regret. And if that is you tonight, you know, maybe for you guys, you've been coming along to Motion for months and years, and you've kind of known what we've been talking about, and you kind of get what we've been talking about, you kind of believe what we've been talking about, but you've never really understood that because of what Jesus done, you can be free. You know, you can live a life of freedom because of what he's done. Or maybe you're new to this. Maybe you've stumbled across us tonight and you've never heard of Motion. You've never heard of this God, this Jesus that we talk about. And you kind of want a part of it. You want a part of that freedom because you feel that guilt, you feel that shame of when you do things wrong. Well, if that's you, and if either of those of you, you know, I'd love you to pray with me. You know, if you want to know more about who this Jesus is, if you want to accept that Jesus into your life and accept that freedom that comes from that, then I'd love you just to pray after what I say here. Dear Lord, I know that I'm a sinner. I know that I mess up. Lord, I want to ask for your forgiveness. I believe that you died for my sins, for the times that I mess up. And I believe that you rose from the dead. And because of that, I no longer have to feel the guilt and shame. I am free. I trust and follow you as my Lord and Saviour. Guide my life and help me do your will. In your name. Amen. Guys, if any of you feel like that, if any of you have prayed that along with me, I'd love you to get in touch with me. Please just contact me, youth@forgechurch.com. If you're connected into one of our hangout groups, please do speak to your leaders about that. We would love to walk alongside you with this. I said it earlier, but we want to grow with you. We want to kind of build and have a better relationship with God with you guys as well. So please do get in touch with us. You know, just email me or get in contact with someone else. That would be great. Okay, before we head out to our hangout groups, I want to let you know about what's happening next week. Now, next week is going to look slightly different. Now, here at Motion, we really, like I've just said, actually, we really want to kind of help shape our lives in a better way. And some of the times we have to ask difficult questions. We have to kind of have difficult discussions. We have to be honest and open with ourselves. And so we're going to start a series that's going to be every 6 weeks or so, where we do that. We look at some big questions, and that's what we're going to start next week. And last week, I spent some time with some kind of experts in this field and what they're talking about. And we're talking about coping, you know, when things are going wrong, when disaster happens, or when small things are going wrong, how do we cope? How do we cope in these times? So let's take a look at what it's going to look like next week. Cool, excellent. I'm really, really looking forward to that for next week. But now is your time to hang out into your hangout groups. If you are not connected into a hangout group, if this is new to you, then if you head over to our Instagram page, Forge Youth UK, there's a link which will take you directly to our website, which will give you more information about the different hangout groups and how you can get connected in with those groups. Again, if you want more information about that, just email me, youth@forgechurch.com, and I'd love to speak to you about that and give you more information if you need. But for now, I'll see you all next week. I hope you have a great and safe week. See you soon.